Thank you so much for giving us this chance. Obviously, I will try to present myself as a scientist. I am a scientist. I've been doing science all my life. No doubt there has been a great change in the idea, which is new to European history of science. If now, as you have seen yesterday, for instance, so many heads of states, prime ministers and others have been discussing so much about science and research. The scientific community has been the first to create a true globalization in the planetary scale. The technological innovation which follows is proceeding according to the same path. Of course, internationalization of science and technology are totally natural, since the law of natures are evidently universal. And just because of their such a simplicity that the scientific model, represents a point of reference also for other much more complex domains. It should be recalled, for instance, that the creation of a truly European science, first with CERN and with ESA, ESO, IMBL, and so forth, in the 50s, has been a premonitory sign of a beginning of the economic and then political union of Europe. More recently, the World Wide Web, the media revolution, conceived initially at CERN during my mandate as a DG, has been initially conceived as communication tool among scientists. CERN donating the WW technology to the world. And already before the birth of the web, CERN had been one of the largest innovative centers of IT. The development of the web has not been an accident, but a logical consequence of a major scientific adventure in which thousands of physicists from all over the world have participated to a common CERN scientific program without being necessarily present at CERN at all times. It is estimated Internet users will double by 2015 to a global total of some 4 billion users, or nearly 60% of the Earth's population. CERN announced, for instance, more recently in 2012, one of the most expected discoveries in physics in the recent years. Its research had finally found at the LHC, after years of working on it, a particle that matched the expected characteristic of the renowned Higgs boson. As known as the God's particle, the discovery was all over the newspapers, TV programs, and social networks. But was this a media coverage granted to the true scientific value of the news item? Or had it more to do with the ever-controversial relationship between science and religion? These examples show how information among scientists had been quickly, but often also very approximately, adapted to society as a whole, and the short distance today from a research laboratory and the street. I believe that the rising complexity of scientific research is now imperatively demanding new steps, which can ensure that the international involvement moves to a more organized and planned structures. But this will not be without problems. The most severe scientific problems are those of a long term, 10 to 20 years, for cancer, AIDS, genetic disease, food, energy and water, environment, and so forth. Priorities cannot change at each political alternative. A new, stable, and interdisciplinary, non-governmental, high-level scientific structure must be created in order to help politicians in their choices and to ensure a solid support and the necessary competencies in order to define the long-term objectives and the ways in which science and technology may best contribute to their attainment and to society. New knowledge is generally supported by discoveries and inventions. There are, however, different ways in which the scientific progress may manifest itself, either through the contribution of single scientists, or this happens more often today, with research programs which get together many or thousands of researchers, all often in very different disciplines. In reality, scientific discoveries have progressively evolved from the separate actions of a single or few individuals to the collective resultant of a wide community. Research, initially due to the isolated commitment of few dedicated people, has become today the main engine of the social and economic progress in the whole society. We are witnesses to the progressive transformation towards an economy promoted by knowledge, based, like in the case of biological evolution of species, on a continuity changes, the principal engine of scientific progress. But one also must recall today that the ultimate limits of science are determined by two limits, represented by the freedom on one side and the responsibility on the other. Freedom has immense value, shared by everybody, but freedom has as a counterpart a duty, which means the acceptance of an individual responsibility. Each of us, scientists or otherwise, has the duty to project his activities into a wider social and ethical context. The consequence for society of this huge revolution should not be underestimated. Indeed, large portion of the society may not profit of the immense gift to mankind represented by scientific and technological progress. The risk of scientific and technological illiteracy has become a persistent problem of a vast component of the world population. To overcome these injustices is one of the most important tasks of the future, in which science and education should be tightly connected. The governments have the duty to society in terms of long-term actions rather than pursuit of immediate interests. Without the support of truly new knowledge, the risk to underestimate the dangers and to invest in the short-term solutions is real and worrying. Faraday tells us that electricity was not discovered improving the candles. Molecular biology was not discovered improving botany. The present anthropogenic era, more than ever, the human capital and the guidance of the most educated part of the society are the most decisive factors for establishing norms of a sustainable social conduct. In a world in which deciding power may become decoupled from scientific and technological evolution, it is unclear if humanity will take up the challenge of qualitative growth or may instead evolve in a pattern of a slower development that could inevitably lead to stagnation and decay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Rubbia.